understand the one consciousness, I think our group talks about that.
Yeah, referring to the one.
Yes.
All right.
Is that it is ever expanding. It's not a fixed entity. Is that
correct?
Okay. You also said, and I think we all understand also, that time is a concept that is created when process needs to happen or needs to be understood.
Yes.
Okay. Now, we also understand that the one consciousness does not experience time or does not sort of...
Well, not the way you do, although it is obviously aware of the concept of time since it is created within the one.
Fair enough. But then let me ask my question, and maybe that will make it more specific. How does that process of expansion of the one consciousness occur without being subject to time? Does that make any sense as a question?
Well, yes, it makes sense, and it may or may not be translatable in your experience. I will do the best I can to explain it in human words.
Thank you.
First, let's get some terminology so that we are on the same page. To us, there is actually a difference between all that is and the one. They're not quite the same thing to us. Because all that is does not know itself as all that is. But the one knows itself as the one. That's the difference between the two. The one represents the first level of reflection that creates everything else, from the one on down. So, in order for all that is to experience itself, it does then, within itself, shall we say, create a separation, a division, that then becomes known as the one. Obviously, that must involve some sense that you would recognize as a space-time separation. But it is nowhere near as concrete or crystallized as what you call, typically, space and time in your reality. It's nowhere near as fixed. But it obviously is there to some degree, and it is being used in that sense to create the first separation that then creates all other separations into denser and denser and denser levels of space-time. So yes, the template is even on that level, but it is on that level in its purest, simplest form, only creating a single division that still is experienced by the one as a now eternal moment, but is experienced by the one as the one, whereas all that is has no such experience at all. Does that make sense?
Very much. Just to follow up a little bit on that.
So more follow-up, yes.
When that first split happens,
yes,
and the one is created from all that is,
yes.
Right? Is there another entity that's created? Because when you say split, we always think of something splitting into two or more.
Well, all that is still all that is.
Of course.
Now, in the one, in that moment of the creation of the one recognizes itself as also the totality of polarity. So in that sense, you could say, yes, it recognizes immediately that there is a type of cell division from the one into two. A this and a that, a light and a dark, so on and so forth.
You could call it.
Yes, a two-ness. So the one becomes two automatically. Because remember, it is still an aspect of all that is, and as an aspect of all that is, it must contain all that there is, but it contains it and recognizes and experiences it in a manner where it recognizes it as polarity. Whereas in all that is, there is no such recognition at all.
Got it.
All that is just all that is.
Sure.
Without even knowing that it is all that is. But the one knows it is all that is. And the second you know you're all that is, you have to accept all that there is within all that is, and in all that is, there is polarity. So the one becomes the two. Instantly, which then again diversifies into all the other things. So yes, it's a logical progression.
Great.
Make sense?
Very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bashar, thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here. Actually, you answered one of my burning questions that I had forgotten even to make a note of.
Did we pour some water on it?
Yes.
Oh, all right. Thank you.
Bashar, I have a couple of questions about the different dimensions.
Yes.
We have been talking about the fourth and fifth dimension.
Yes.
In general, can you help me to understand, is there physicality there as well, or duality exists?
Well, one moment.
Okay.
First of all, we understand in your reality, in your language, sometimes there is some confusion of terminology between the concepts you call dimension and density. Because many people in your so-called metaphysical movement refer to the idea of fourth density, fifth density. Sometimes people will have these terms interchangeable. Fourth dimension, fifth dimension. They're not exactly interchangeable. Within the reality you would call your third dimension, it is actually a fourth dimensional reality. Because you have 3 dimensions of space and 1 of time. Do you understand?
Yes.
That makes it a fourth dimensional reality. So in reality, you're already in the fourth dimension. Obviously, it's physical. Yes?
Yes.
Now, within this fourth dimensional reality, you are actually also then going into what people on your planet have called fourth density. But that's because they are sometimes confusing the idea of third dimension to fourth dimension transference. But there is no fourth dimension transference because you're already there. So going into fourth density is actually going into the fifth dimension. Does that make sense?
Yes, it
All right.
does.
Now, in going into the fifth dimension or fourth density, you will find again that what will happen is, yes, there is still physicality. Yes, there is still some degree of polarity. But again, it is not as fixed. You have more flexibility in space and time. You can find it becoming, shall we say, more slippery, unstuck, unglued, so that you can experience more synchronicity, which is your physical translation of experiencing that everything happens at once, that everything is connected. So a symptom, shall we say, a symbol, a marker, of transferring from the fourth dimension to the fifth dimension, or from, if you wish, third density to fourth density, however you wish to frame it, same thing, is to relax the idea of that structure we talked about before that has been imposed upon your consciousness, and let it be a little bit looser so that you experience more of the now, and thus relax the concept of space and time so that you can become more slippery in space, more slippery in time, and find your consciousness moving around in space and time a little bit more fluidly. For example, here is an illustration of how such things can happen beyond the idea of experiencing more synchronicity. Have you ever found yourself getting somewhere physically when you knew it was impossible for you to get there in the amount of time you had, but you got there on time anyway?
Yes.
That kind of thing is where your consciousness is now starting to manipulate time so that you're jumping over what you need and simply arriving when you need to be there, regardless of how much time you thought you might have needed in the old perspective. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So it's those kinds of things that tell you that you are uplifting your frequency, uplifting your vibration, expanding your consciousness, and becoming more aware of the fact that you live in the now. Because in the now, by definition, all things exist. So the more you live in the here and now, the less you need the concept of space and time, because there are fewer details to focus on. When people focus on too many details, and they think they have to make their life work by going through this step and 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 this step, well, you're creating steps that then require more space and more time in which to exist. But if you understand yourself more holistically and just go from here to there and skip all the intervening steps, then you need less time, will experience less time and less space. You'll live more in the now where everything is, and you'll recognize everything is just already here and now. And you'll be able to access it more easily, and the symptoms of that access will be more synchronicity and more slippage in space and time. And also more sensitivity to perceiving with your senses other vibrations, other dimensions, other realities, other frequencies of energy. That's why more and more people now are also seeing more things from other realities, seeing colors, seeing light they never saw before, seeing what you call spacecraft moving in other dimensions, seeing spirits of people that have passed on into the spirit realm. More and more and more, this is coming into your society now, because people are becoming heightened in their sensitivity to things that are representative of what's really here and now. Whereas in the old reality, you filtered 99% of that out. But now you're not doing so much filtering. Is this answering your question?
It does. And I just wanted to ask another question in that regard. So the way that I understand you is that we can definitely experience, let's say, fifth dimension in this physical world or where we are.
The dimension in that sense is the last level of complete physical reality. Beyond that, it is more quasi-physical, non-physical, which is where we're going, our civilization. We're becoming less physicalized. We're now quasi-physical, quasi-energy beings. But you're just going into the very beginning of that level as a society. Does that make sense?
It does. So we can experience that as we live here.
Yes.
And also, the way that I see it is that we may choose, as we go through this growth path, we may choose to experience our next lifetimes in, for example, in fifth dimension. Is that a natural progression of...
It can be. It depends. It depends on your choices. It can be representative of a natural progression, yes. But remember, on that higher level, time is not linear. So you can actually choose a life that from physical reality's point of view would actually be before the life you're having now as your next life. Just because you think you might need that experience for your progression. So on that level, it's not linear. Because remember, from that level, you recognize all lives coexist simultaneously. And you're just keying into them in whatever order you think actually serves you best. So it depends on what you mean by progression. Because some souls will feel that they want to hop all over the place, and that creates the kind of progression they need, and some souls will do it very linearly. They will connect to their lives in what, from a space-time perspective, would appear to be one life after another, one dimension after another. But you don't have to do it that way. In fact, one of the things that lets you know you're really truly functioning on a higher level is that you really stop depending on linearity at all. And you start experiencing yourself in a multitude of ways simultaneously. On a high level, you will experience all your physical lives at once. At the same time, and actually be able to handle all that input all at once. It's similar to the analogy we use on your planet of what you call a film strip. You have a strip of film. There are many frames on that film strip. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Well, each physical life may be one frame. But when you are the projectionist, you can take that film strip and you can stretch it out in front of you and you can see all the frames at the same time. That's a different point of view. You see?
Yes.
So from the higher levels, it's like that. And as the projectionist, you could say, well, now I'm going to look at frame 5. Oh, now I'm going to look at frame 1. Oh, now I'm going to look at frame 10. Oh, now I'm going to look at frame 3. Oh, now I'm going to look at frame 7. You don't have to do it in order. Because you see them all at once. So it's up to you. If it serves you to do it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, do it that way. If it serves you to do it some other way, you will. Make sense?
It does. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good day, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
In one of your sessions, you mentioned that in the history of mankind on Earth, some unexpected incident happened, and that between Earth and another galaxy.
A galaxy?
Or
are you sure that was the word that was used?
Maybe galactic or another
What is
being.
it you are specifically referring to? What kind of an incident are you referring to?
That our civilization is going downward.
Downward?
In another word, is declining?
No. If your civilization had chosen to decline, it is probably very unlikely we would be speaking with you. Because we represent the idea of your civilization ascending. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Now, There are other parallel Earths that are going to experience decline, but are you going to be in that one or the one that's ascending? It's your choice. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes.
Is that answering the question? Or is there something else about this that you are referring to?
Can you elaborate on the last point you made about the
one moment. First, I want to know that we are clear.
Yes, we are.
Are you sure?
Yes.
All right. If for any reason some of this is not clear, by all means, speak up. All right?
Okay.
Thank you. Now, again, everything exists all at once. Anything that can exist does exist. Anything you can imagine, somewhere, somewhen is real. Because you can't imagine non-existence. Go ahead, I'll give you a moment, try. There, you see? You can't imagine non-existence. Remember, nothing is not non-existence. Non-existence, by definition, is something you can't experience. So, anything you can imagine, any other version of Earth, any other choice, any other branching choice you may have made is being made on another Earth, or in another reality, or in another dimension. Everything is being experienced that can be experienced. That's why all that is called all that is. Not all that is except for this. It's all that is. So, just as you are experiencing the Earth you are experiencing now, there are also an infinite number of parallel reality Earths experiencing themselves as well. On some of those other Earths, there may be other versions of you. On some of those other Earths, there may not be. But there are an infinite number of parallel Earths experiencing anything you can imagine. Some of those parallel Earths have destroyed themselves already. Others have not. Is this making sense?
Yes.
Is there some specific discussion you wish to have about this concept of parallel reality?
I can try to interject here. Sorry to tell me if I'm maybe helping with your question, because I kind of think I'm getting where you're trying to go. There is, Bashar, a version of the history of the Earth,
yes,
as we're experiencing the Earth right now,
yes,
that basically posits that at some point in the past of the Earth,
yes,
there were beings from elsewhere that came or that
yes.
decided to
Are you
intervene.
referring to the Anunnaki?
Yes.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
and they interjected their genetic material into the hominid life form that existed on Earth and helped create the human form into which souls could incarnate. Yes.
Okay.
But
Great.
why do you think your world is in decline because of that?
I don't. My question was going to be more in the terms as follows.
Yes.
Is that intervention, in fact, something that has had, shall we say, negative effect on the Earth since that time on? In other words,
it is an interaction that has had an effect that is positive or negative depending upon how it is used and viewed.
Okay, let me ask that differently then. I understand what you're saying. Again, this is not necessarily an information that comes from you, but possibly from elsewhere, and that information posits, again, that there's a sort of colonization that has happened. Let's put it that way, that Earth and its resources are being colonized and used by, again, certain beings from elsewhere, and unbeknownst to most of the inhabitants.
I understand.
Okay.
And on some Earth, that is true.
Okay, but on this Earth...
Is it this Earth?
That's the question.
Yes, it is. And it's my question to you.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the Earth you're on? Do you subscribe to that reality?
Mm-hmm.
Yes? No?
Got it. I don't know yet.
You don't know. Oh, all right. You're allowed to live on an Earth where you don't know.
Thank you.
So, when you make up your mind, that will be the Earth you live on.
Great.
Because that's how you change. Anything, any thought, now listen. Please, 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 please take me quite literally. All right?
Mm-hmm.
Quite literally.
Yes.
This is not symbolic. This is literal. Every single thought you have changes your entire reality. What Earth are you on now? 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 You have actually just passed through a large number of parallel reality Earths in the last 5 seconds. Every thought you have means you're in a different reality. The only reason it seems like the same Earth is because a level of your consciousness agrees to experience it with each other that way. But not only are you experiencing a variety of Earths together, you're experiencing a variety of Earths separately that you have to agree you're experiencing together.
Yes.
So, whatever you decide is the truth of your world at any given moment will be what you experience. And remember, the past does not create the present.
Yes.
The past is the result of what you decide the present to be. Make sense?
That makes perfect sense, and I've recently come to understand what you just said very much with my brain.
Yes.
Of course, living it to the point where, I understand it with my whole being, and that I live my life according to that idea is a whole other, level.
Would you like it not to be a whole other level?
Sure. Then
when you say that statement, don't put the words "of course" in front of it.
Great.
You understand?
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Now you get it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.